And I've actually worked on that a couple times myself with some other people. So we're more than welcome to work on it together if you'd like to, or we could try it out and see how you do. And that could be some way for us to handle this. Um, and would you like me to work with you on number 6? And is this number 6 from 2.4? 2.3, absolutely. Let me pull up 2.3 and see what we're looking at here. Okay, so I'm going to pull up 2.3, and then I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll work on it together. And if that might give you some help, hopefully this will help guide you in the right way. Oh, we're in the wrong class there. So let's go ahead and find your course. Where are we? There we go. So I'm going to share my screen with you, Brianna, so that way you can see what it looks like, and hopefully this will help you. Okay, Brianna, can you see my screen? Okay, great. We're going to pull up number 6 here and see how we can manage this problem together. Okay. Oh, this one's a notorious problem. So let's go ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually snip. I'm going to snip this question, and I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in a Word format, so that way we can work through it together. So let's go through and look at it like that. Can you see this on my Word document, Brianna? Wonderful. So let me just get this to move a little bit. Okay, so let me just change my picture option. There we go. Okay, so let me scroll in here so we can see it. So in Brianna, this question is going to be very similar to what you have with yours. However, the numbers will be slightly different. The numbers will be slightly different, but that's okay. Nothing we can't manage. So when we work through this question, I always like to draw pictures. Drawing pictures really helps me out a lot. It makes it really feasible. Do you agree, Brianna? Are you there? Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Let me know when you're ready, and we can work through this together. Okay, well, that's wonderful. That's great news, Brianna. Excellent, strong work. So let's go through and work this step by step together. And if you need to interject at any time, just go ahead and type it, and it gives me a little notification on my end. So as I said before, whenever we work this through, I always like to draw pictures because I really think that helps give me a goal and maybe a game plan of how I'm going to attack this problem. So notice here it says there's a building in the city that has a rectangular base. So that gives us a hint that, whoops, that I'm going to draw a rectangle. It's supposed to be a rectangle, so it's a little of an offshifted rectangle. I guess I could erase that and make it a little bit better. Let me go ahead and try doing a little better for rectangle, so that way it's not so funny. Okay, so we got the rectangle right here. And
you are currently the only person in this conference.
So are you still there, Brianna? Oh, did it? Okay, that's really weird. Do you hear the sound now? Okay, great. Sorry about that. I'm actually holding a couple different office hours, so I'm only using one computer and doing this. So I apologize for the sound going out. But if it ever goes out, I can always type back to you and wait for the sound to click back in. But that might happen every once in a while. It depends on how fast my internet connection is. So I apologize about that. But anyway, so going back to this question, we have a building in a city that has a rectangular base. So the idea right here is that we're working with a rectangle, working with a rectangle. And notice when we think about word problems, we want to replace the words with variables that represent the words. So notice here it gives you the term length. So notice here it gives you the term length. Would you want to use a value of x or y to represent length? Now, exactly. So what variable do you think you'd want to use to represent the term length? Perfect. So that's exactly what I would use. So notice here, this is going to be the first part of my transition from these sentences into my algebra. So I'm going to have the length of the base. So I'm going to write that as the length, L. Length of the base measures. So measures is one of those key words that we have to become familiar with. Measures, is equal to. They all have the same meaning. And guess what that is? I think I gave it away. It was equals. so we're going to say exactly perfect. We're going to say that L equals 2. And notice here we have 70 feet less than 3 times the width. Okay, so which one of these words in here really makes me stand on the edge to make sure I don't make it wrong? Which one of those words? Perfect. See, we're on the same page. Then means to flip. It means to switch. So we have to be very careful about that term then. That always comes back to bite us, especially when we're talking about subtraction. So notice, when I say I have 70 feet less than, I'm thinking 70 and I'm thinking there's a minus. Now, how do I represent this portion? 3 times the width. How do I represent the word? Oh, did it freeze? Are we back again? Do you see me? Here, you know what? I'm going to take off maybe it's, let me stop my webcam. So I'm going to take my webcam off because that might make it a little bit faster. When it has to transmit the video footage of the webcam, it could go out a little bit more. Are you able to still hear me, Brianna? Perfect. So let's see. I disabled the webcam, but can you still see my screens? Wonderful. So let us continue. So back to this question. Notice we have the length of the base measures equals to 70 feet less than 3 times the width. So how am I going to write 3 times the width, Brianna? How do I want to write that as an equation? Are we still there? Make sure I didn't lose you again. Okay, wonderful. So I'll just go ahead and tell us that we're going to write 3 times the width as 3w. We're going to represent width as the variable w. Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm shy too. So never worry about it. The nice thing here is that this is virtual, so I can't even see you. So that's okay. Don't worry about that. The goal is here is that you're able to get the help that you need, and we can communicate together. Even though I'm doing it verbally, I'll wait for you as long as it takes for you to write whatever it is to me. So never worry about that. It's just making sure that you're getting the assistance that you need at the time that you need it. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So we have the length of the base measures equals to 70 feet less than, okay, we're going to have to flip-flop these, 3 times the width. So that's going to translate as 3w minus 70. Do you agree that my length will be equal to 3w minus 70? Wonderful. So in this circumstance, we now have an equation that relates length in terms of width for this problem. So we continue. The perimeter of this base is 820 feet. So I'm going to denote this as P is equal to a value of 820 feet. And a lot of times we use that little accent slash to represent feet. So we're going to leave it as such. But for right now, I'm not going to worry so much about units. The goal is that we are able to just calculate what we need at this point in time. So if I look at this picture, I know that I can write this a couple different ways. So I'm going to note this as length. This is length. I'm going to call this portion here my width, and this portion here my width as well. So if I want to find the perimeter in terms of this rectangle, I would start here. I could start at any corner, and I will traverse this entire length and entire width back and forth. So I would have length. I would travel from here to here. So notice I'm doing it in blue. So I'd have one length. I would travel from here up here. So I would have one width, so I'd have to add one width. I would travel from here to here, so I would add another length. And then lastly, I would travel from here all the way down back, so I would add another width. So I recognize that the perimeter of my rectangle is equal to L plus L is 2L's plus 2W. Do you agree that that's how I can determine the perimeter of my rectangle, Brianna? Wonderful. Great, great, great. So let's go ahead and keep going. Are you understanding everything all right, Brianna? Great. So now I can take my value of P, and I'm going to do this in red so we can see it. I see my P. Oh, I thought I was going to do it in red. Okay, I'm going to take my value of P, and which is 820 feet. I'm going to plug that in to my perimeter equation. So now I know that I have 820 equals to 2L plus 2W. So I have 820 equals to 2L plus 2W. So now I've been able to generate two equations. I have this first equation from this portion right here, and then I have this second equation, which is going to be right there. Do you agree those are my two equations, Brianna? Do you agree that I have two equations? I have this first equation and my second equation from what was given in there? Okay, great, great. So do you feel comfortable that you would be able to determine these two equations maybe on your own now? Great, great. So now we've worked through the first part about this first part of this question. Now we have to figure out what this question is asking for. Notice this question states, what are the dimensions of this base? And the first portion, when we think dimensions, we're thinking both length and width. So this is asking for both L and W. And when I ask for the dimensions, here it specifically states what is the width first. So what is the width? So let's go ahead and figure this out. We can work through it together. So notice I have the first equation here, and I have the second equation. And notice I have L already solved in terms of W and my constant. So what I'm allowed to do is that I can take this equation L, and I can substitute that in down here. So what I'm really going to have is 820 equals to 2 times 3W minus 70 plus 2W. So do you see how I substitute that equation in, Brianna? Great. Great. I'm glad we see this. Yeah. So now let's go ahead and distribute. So we're going to have 820 equals to 2 times 3W, which gives you 6W. 2 times negative 70 gives you negative 140 plus 2Ws. So now we're going to combine similar terms. Notice I have a 6W here and 2W here. So I'm going to have 820 equals to 6W plus 2W, which is 10W, minus 140. I want to solve and isolate W. So I'm going to add 140 on both sides. This goes away. Now I have 820 plus 140 gives me a value of 960, which equals to 10W. And then lastly, if I want to solve for W, I'm going to divide both sides by 10 and divide both sides by 10. So I'm going to get 960 divided by 10, which gives you a value of 96, which equals to W. So we found the first portion W. But I promise you, after we put that in for this portion, it's going to ask you, what is the length? What is L? So notice with our first equation, we already have it solved for L. So all we're going to do now is plug in our value that we just got for W. So doing it over here so we can see it, I'll do it down here. We know that L is equal to 3W minus 70, and that's just from this equation right up here. And we know W is equal to 96, so I'm going to plug that in. So I'm going to have 3 times 96 minus 70. Do you agree so far, Brianna? Are we all on the same page? Great. So 3 times 6, 18, 27, 288 minus 70. So I think that's 3 times 96. I think we're right. And then lastly, we're just going to subtract this following order of operations. So 288 minus 70 is going to give you a value of 218. So our length here will be 218 feet, and our width will be 96 feet. And the nice thing is that if we plug this back into either one of these equations, Brianna, we know it's going to check out. So I could do so. Excellent. Great, great. I'm glad you're seeing it. So do you agree with how we got that? And that's a 218. That's not a 210. Make sure we see that's let me make sure we can see that. Sorry, this is supposed to be a 218. There we go, a 218, not a 210. So how do we feel about that, Brianna? Does that help you a little bit? Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you understand. Did you go grab your mom and show her? Oh, it's all right, sweet. Well, we have more time to do it later on whenever you want to.